Let's talk about your transmission, engine setup, injectors, ECU, turbo size, brand. Let's talk about all that.
So the setup it was on when it went the fastest pass it's gone. It's gone at 865 at like one. I think it was at 157 that it did that. On that setup, it was stock bottom end. It had LS7 head gaskets. Had a BTR cam in it. Head studs. Pretty standard stuff.
Let me ask you this. I don't know if this is a myth or if something that actually happens, but I heard some rumors. These engines, these LS engines, but the heads they tend to lift a lot.
That is the weak point on them.
So talk to me about that.
So I've only had one issue with the head gasket. The motor right now is still on stock heads. So we'll see kind of what it does on this setup. At some point I'll put heads on it, but the heads are more expensive than the motor.
Let's talk about your rival, Coyotes. What are your thoughts about how you feel about Coyotes now these days?
You know, when I was looking at swapping the car, I did look at doing a Coyote. I was debating between the two, and it was just the packaging. It's such a big motor. It's a gigantic motor to try to fit. Like, this is a small car. I think the interesting motor would be the Hellcat motors. I think that I've heard those motors can hold 1,400 stock.
It's heavy as hell.
What about a Trackhawk though?
Still heavy.
Yeah, no, but it's comparable-ish to the F-150s. So if you can make
but I think that the F-150 smoke the Trackhawk all day, every day.
For now, yeah.
There is no secret that the LS swap has been one of the most popular swaps in the entire world. Some people might like it, some people might hate it. Well, in this episode, we're gonna talk about everything related to the LS swap. And I have this guest right now here. And I'm gonna be interviewing this person next to me. And he has a particular car with a particular engine that you don't see that often. So in today's episode, we're gonna be talking about everything, like I said, LS related. So it's my pleasure to announce my guest and make him feel more than welcome to my podcast. Nick, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast, brother. I appreciate the fact that you say, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. So quick story about Nick. We technically are completely strangers. Like, we met in the track in the TRC event, and I saw his car from far away. That we are gonna be talking about his car in a little bit. Just be patient. Stay tuned till the end of the podcast. We're gonna be talking about really good stuff. So basically, he has this particular car, and import, of course, JDM, if you want to call it like that. And I saw this massive turbo, and then the spot that the turbo was sitting, I said, this is not the original engine.
It catches a lot of attention.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and also in top of that, he doesn't have a front bumper. So at least at the moment that I saw the car, you didn't have a bumper. So I was like, this is really interesting. So, but before we get into that, obviously you're a stranger to me, and you're also a stranger for all my audience. We need to know, who is Nick. Okay. Nick, let's talk about your story. Let's talk about your when you was a teenager, or maybe when you was a kid, like when the time that you found your passion about cars. I said on your teenage, because basically that's when we actually start finding out what are we like and what we don't like. Usually teenagers start to falling in love with cars around that age.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about you. Like, tell me who played a really a big role in your life, and who got you to get into cars, or you starting cars in your late age. I want to know everything, brother. Like, okay. Talk to me. And first of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, appreciate it. So pretty much, the car actually that you saw was my dad's car. He bought it brand new in 1990. And then when he got a new car, 2004 Infiniti G35 in 2004, and then that was my first car. So I got that car pretty much right after I got my license in high school. It's a 1990. At the time, it was a non-turbo 300ZX. It had 220,000 miles on it, and bone stock, like completely stock. So I had that, and then pretty much, kind of was getting into cars. Didn't know too much about them. I always liked them as a kid, but didn't know anything about working on them or anything like that. So I got my license. A couple buddies of mine picked up cars as well. One of them was Eagle Talon, turbo
Okay.
Eagle Talon, all-wheel drive.
4G63.
4063. Yep, 1G. And that was probably the fastest car at the time, like in the group.
Right.
And that's when I first started learning about like turbo stuff. And I started seeing him with the manual boost controller and turning it up. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could really do that. That's pretty wild. And then around that time, I knew of like the twin turbo like swaps and stuff for the 300s, but since this was an NA, it was really slow. Like the car was at 220,000 miles, it was really slow. I raced my buddy's mom's Neon. It was a 4-speed Neon, and my car's a 5-speed too. This car is auto, and we were dead even.
Wow.
And this thing it was down in compression probably. It just was a tired motor, and so it ended up spinning a bearing. And then around that time is when me and, a couple buddies looked at swapping the twin turbo motor in it, and we kind of just ripped it apart and, kind of saw how it went. And that's pretty much how I started learning to work on cars, was from this particular one.
How old you was back then?
16.
16?
16, yeah.
So at 16, you was already messing around with cars and racing and stuff?
Yeah, we started going out to like, I'm from local around here in Orlando.
Okay.
So we started going out to President's Drive and stuff like that,
Wow, all days.
Just kind of watching and stuff, and then slowly participating as well. But yeah, that car really taught me to kind of be a mechanic and how to work. And the VG30s are not easy motors to work on. So it really helps you learn some mechanic skills.
Okay.
Because
Now-
they're tough motors.
Now
They can be.
You mentioned the key word of my next question or my next topic. By the way, everyone, if you're still on the podcast, just like we're just starting, we're just warming up. I highly suggest you to hit the like button, comment down below, and share this content with all your friends on all the groups of WhatsApp or all the Instagram groups, all the Facebook groups, everywhere you every group you add. Please share this content and let them know that MOZE 350 for MOZE TV is also bilingual and also make Spanish and English content, right? So make sure you hit the like button. It's free. It's free. I'm not charging you for that. YouTube is not charging you for that. There's no excuse for you to not leave the like button. And also comment down below. Comment down below. All right. So since you mentioned the VG30, let's talk about that engine real quick.
Okay.
So we had just a quick story. Like we talked about this in the TRC event. We talked about the VG30. You mentioned that you blew a bunch of those engines.
Yep.
You had a hard time with those engines.
Yeah, it was a learning curve for sure with them.
So tell me your thoughts about the VG30. Tell me their flaws, their flaws, why people don't like them. It's only a small group of people that really like them. Why they blow so much? Just tell me all their failures, everything about that engine that you know.
Well, so the VG30, I think the main thing that prevents people from messing with them is basically that they're just hard to work on. It's a big motor, the way the intake manifold and all that stuff is put into 300s is a tight engine bay. So I think people will get a little scared to work on them. I think I had an advantage starting off because I didn't know much about cars, so I didn't know what to expect. So it just kind of was what it was. And it was not easy, but, we figured it out. And I think it made me a little bit better of a mechanic for it, honestly, working on a harder motor like that.
Then you started from the worst.
I started from the worst. Anytime I see something else, I'm like, oh, wow, it's really easy.
Easy.
Or it can be easy.
Yeah.
But so I think because of that, they didn't really get developed too much in the 2000s and stuff like that. There were a few people that started pushing them, but they had some limitations. As they've gone, though, they've actually gotten a lot better in recent times. They figured a lot of stuff out with them. And the one thing they never had a problem with was making power. They make power easy.
Mm-hmm.
Their issue is always staying together. But once they kind of started seeing some of the weak points on them and people kind of built on them a little bit, they actually have, the fastest VG like street car right now is a VG30 car, a 300ZX.
Yeah, I know.
So they've gotten pretty fast now.
I don't know if you're talking about the same VG that I know, but there's one in Texas. I watch. So before I start creating content and all that, I always not only before, also during. I still watching some content of other people or like these big channels like the one you have in your shirt. That create like that makes these private events in the border of Mexico,
Yeah.
the cash
Yep.
days. So, and they pretty much they is like everybody against everybody. No limitation,
Yep.
no negotiation. It's just heads up and just go, just rock and roll. So basically, I was watching this episode where there was just a few imports. One of them was the 300CX. It was a 300CX. I'm not too sure. I can't remember if it was all-wheel drive or if it was rear-wheel drive. I know they are rear-wheel drive, but for whatever reason, I'm thinking that this car had like an all-wheel drive setup, but I might be mistaken. But all I know is this car had massive tires, crazy power, that turbo noise you can hear from far away.
Yeah.
He was able to tell that it was a VG30 with that trumpet noise.
Yep.
So dude, he was smoking everybody.
Yeah, they're underrated cars. I mean, I think the chassis in general and the motor, before not so much, but now in recent times, like I said, they've figured a lot out with it, and they're getting them to hold together now. And making power with them was never the problem. The problem was the issue I always had was bending rods. I was also learning to tune on these motors, and so like I was probably a little aggressive timing wise and stuff. I'm sure I could have done more. I ended up going through 3 or 4 stock motors. And I got a stock bottom end VG into the 9s in 2013, and then people took it further and they got the stock bottom ends in the 8s with the VG. So they're very stout motors if you kind of know what you're doing with them.
Yeah, I'm searching here. What is the world record
For
of the
VG30 or for 300ZX?
with the feet for the VG30?
VG30, I think it's gone 6s.
Is it?
Yeah,
'Cause-
George. It's in
World record. Let's see. Because somebody brought up.
it was a cement-filled motor.
I don't see anything here. The only thing I see here is the miles per hour.
Look up Wascano Racing.
Scanner,
Wascano.
Lascano. Oh yeah, that
George.
one.
Yep.
Yeah, that one.
He has the fastest VG. As far as I know, I think
Wascano.
that's who has it.
VG30. Yeah, that's the one. One of my followers commented on one of my videos. World record. Yeah, I just want to bring this up because it's important.
They're in the 6s.
Yeah, they
There-
at least.
there's a couple cars. That are
So
in the 6s.
basically, according to this, I gotta do more searching.
yeah.
But basically, according to this, the world record is 626 on 77. Sorry, 677 with 201 miles per hour.
So they can do it.
That's a really
you
good
know?
number.
Yeah, they can do it, and that's factory crank too. That motor was.
Actually, no, we got a better record. Let's see. Yeah, VG30 606 at 230 miles per hour. Does that sound right to you?
Let me see what the car is. Yep,
It's
that's it. Yep.
it's the 370 chassis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So
Yeah, I
almost
don't know.
fives.
Yeah, I don't know when he. Yeah, he didn't get 5s in it. He ended up switching. I think to a VR or RB. I forget what he switched to.
I think to a RB.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely to the RB.
But he's who's pushed the VG the furthest in like a chassis like that for sure.
I can tell he's a Nissan person.
Yeah.
So as you. That's how
Yeah.
you started.
Yep, that is how I started, yeah.
So you know what? It's funny because lately with all like this variation of people that I've been having here on the podcast, I'm giving more forum to the Nissan platform, right?
Mhm.
And it's funny that you are into the VG at some point in your life, and I had this other guest that he is into the VR, and now I want to compare. I want to hear your opinion about comparing like the VG30, which is the engine that started all, with against the VR30, because it's very similar, the platform and the design and all that. So I want to hear what you think about. So before you was into VG30 and you look how they are and you look how what they're capable of, and now you see the VR30 and what the VR30 can do now and all the like the flexibility, the aftermarket support, and all that. Because the VG30 took some time to develop parts and all that, but the VG30, soon as it came out, it had like a 10 years, 12 years of advantage because of the Q60 and the Q50.
Yep.
And now with the new Nissan Z or Z, whatever they want to call it, so now they have more advantage because, and without mentioning that this new Nissan C, man, this car is crazy. I just realized because of the guy, shout out to Qsila, he has one, right? Actually, the one that you saw at the event.
Yep.
And he just told me that the new Z, the 7-speed or 8-speed, 9-speed, I don't know what it is, on transmission, is a Mercedes transmission.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And Mercedes are known for good transmissions and good technology and all that stuff.
What's he ran in that car?
So he just did road racing.
Okay, has it?
Yeah, he's doing just road racing. But according to the Draggy, he said he can run mid nines or low nines.
Okay.
But that car is not fully built.
Stock bottom end.
Yeah. Just hybrid turbos. You know what they do now these days.
Yeah.
Hybrid turbos and this, that. I don't want to say everything that he has because I don't have his permission yet. So let's compare the VR30 against the VG.
I'm not too familiar with the VR, but I know like some things about it. I think the VG has a huge advantage over the VR personally. I think that
what are they? Talk to me.
You can get them super cheap, and now like they kind of have the recipe for the VGs now, and it's you do built main caps, you sleeve them, and we got a Dean Moslow. He just put the street chassis record, first one in the 7s, 171 on not too much, nothing crazy other than a standard fully built motor in the car. It is on like a custom single turbo setup, but I think like once you get these on single turbos or get room for big twins, the VGs are going to be flying here pretty soon. I think with once people start seeing more what they can do. The VRs, I think they're going to be limited by the exhaust. On the heads, they have the integrated exhaust manifolds, so you're kind of limited on what you can do turbo wise. I think
they also direct injection. I think that's a disadvantage.
I think it can be, yeah. And they're more they're just more complicated. The VG's pretty straightforward. It's the same reason why I like the LS. It's very straightforward. I'm an old school, by old school I mean 90s motors kind of guy. So me personally, I would much rather have a VG than a VR.
Yeah, you came from the golden age of engines.
Yeah.
Unbreakable engines.
The VGs, I mean, stock bottom ends, they can make 700 no problem. Once to build them, it's not even really pistons or anything you need. You just need main caps and rods. You can make 1100 if you sleeve them. We don't know quite what they'll go to yet because it's still, again, no one's really pushed these motors still, even though they've been around for so long.
It's the same thing with the VR.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the VR. That's why they have so much in common.
Yeah, and even the GTR motor, obviously those got pushed the most, but
yeah, but that's a whole different conversation.
It is, but those are similar motors. It's the same thing. I think the V6s can just make a lot of power.
Yeah.
I think the V platform just in general is pretty good.
Just those VR38, which is the ones from the GTR R35. Those are engines on steroids, beyond steroids.
It's the perfect storm for that car with the way it got developed. I mean, it just had so much cash put at it that it's unreal. I don't know if you'll see that again. It comes
forged from factory. Like the whole waiting time to release that new GTR, that new generation of GTR, it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
I look a lot at when I kind of judge the engines and stuff. I like to see what they can do without really having to open them up too much. And that's the VG30 can do quite a bit stock bottom end. If you build them right, it seems like they can start to hold together more now than back in like 2017 when I was messing with them. They were again still kind of figuring some stuff out of what had to go. And you need that's the only way to figure it out is to kind of break stuff with them. And kind of go from there and see, but we'll see kind of how the future goes for the VG. But it's a very underdog motor, I'll put it that way.
That's true.
Very underdog.
I'll give it to you. Now, but the real question is, how many engines you blew?
So stock motors, I went through 3 or 4. I went through 4 stock motors total.
I was gonna say you need more hands. You can borrow my hand.
4 stock motors, and then I put a built motor in, but I didn't have main caps in it, so I just did piston rods. And I was on AM V1 on all the stock motors when they blew. I put AM Infinity on it at the time. That was like pretty new for ECU. So I put that on there, and that was kind of like my investment in it. And then within like 6 passes turning it up, it cracked the block.
So
And
now,
I was like, man, that's when I ended up going to that loss.
okay, so let me ask you this. To finish the whole VG
Yeah.
conversation, and so we can jump to the more reality, like the reality that we got right now,
Yeah.
like your present. So what you can say is the weakness of the VG30 engine?
Depends on what power level. Like in general, it's the block itself.
The first thing that goes off, that blows up, or the breaks
I mean,
down.
the first thing, like if it's a bone stock motor, I think the first thing's probably going to be the rods bend
The
at
rods.
a certain point. Yeah,
They're weak.
they're weak. They're not, I wouldn't say they're weak. Again, the motor can make 800. They're very similar, I'd say, to JZ rods.
So
Maybe
they're
not quite as strong as JZ's because I've seen them both in person, and the VGs are thinner, but they're around there.
So what is their limitations? They can go up to how much
Say
horsepower with the
about
stock?
7 to 8. After 700, you're probably on somewhat borrowed time. If you put forged rods in it, I think the motor will hold 700-800 pretty indefinitely ish. If you go past that, you're going to start possibly having the girdle issues where they crack the girdle.
Now, since the new word when we compare engines is the word efficiency. How efficient is that engine? Like, how good the heads are? Like, do they run really well?
Yeah,
They don't need that much boost to make power.
No, the motor itself, like I said, the issue is never making the power; it was keeping everything contained. They make a lot of torque too, and I think that's also kind of part of their problem. Was they make so much torque that you have to keep the torque down, or else that's where they have the main issues with the motor is the actual block strength. But once they actually sleeve the iron blocks.
Oh,
And when they sleeve the iron blocks, from what I haven't done, I mean, again, Dean Mosslow is the one that's really pushed this sleeved motor, but he's gone over 170 mile an hour in it, and it's held together so far.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think that's what I think is going to be the change. Granted, now you do have to put a lot of machine work into the block to get there, but once you do that, it seems like they hold up pretty well, at least from what we can tell.
Right. Hey, please, you like what you're hearing so far? Please leave me a like. Hit the like button. I'm telling you, we're just starting. We're just warming up. We're talking about the initiation of the car that he has. And I want you to see and hear everything we're gonna talk about the car, how the car is right now, how the car evolved from blowing engines to run really good numbers now. So you need to stay tuned. I'm telling you, you need to stay tuned, and you need to hit the like button. It's free. I already told you. I'm not charging you anything. YouTube is not charging you anything either. So just leave me a like for free. All right, let's get going.
Yep.
I gotta remind these people all the time about the like button because they love the content. Oh, and by the way, subscribe. That's another thing. They watch the whole podcast. They're like, oh, Moz, I really like everything you said. Damn, your guest, he's badass. He knows everything about about everything you guys talk about and da 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 da. But they're not subscribed.
Yeah.
What can I do without you being subscribed? I need that subscription. I need you to be here. I need you to stay tuned every time we have a new content going on. All right. So now let's talk about this crossover. The worst betrayed that import fan car can ever do to the community, the JDM culture. You just betray everybody. You just betray us. You just turn against us.
Yep.
You did a LS.
It's the dark side.
You went to the dark side. Exactly.
Dark side. Yep.
You swap a LS engine to that car. What happened? Talk to me. Why you did that?
Well, so my goal with the car initially when I was building it was the car still has AC and stuff, by the way. So it's got AC.
Oh,
and
really?
my goal was to try to make it an 8-second street car. That's what I wanted, that I could drive around. It is a turbo 400 car, but it's still able to be driven around. So that was my goal with the whole car. So I just wanted to hit it in the 8s. And the closest I got with the built VG, I think I went 930s or 940s with it. And then that's when it cracked the built motor that I had, and it like cracked the whole block. It destroyed 3 of the pistons. The rods are destroyed. Because that's what the weak point on them with the stock girdle.
You had a rod flying around or anything like that?
No. I mean, it was tough. So once it did that, that's when I was like, man, I don't really want to keep being a guinea pig with this motor. So that's when I was looking around. I started seeing people running You know, very fast on the stock bottom end LSs. I went to the junkyard. I got a Gen 4 L33
Yeah.
for like $900.
Of course.
I put a cam in it, and
course.
that chassis was the first street chassis in the 8s. So, and it did it pretty quickly. Like I'd say within 10 passes on the LS, it ran 880s. It actually went 8888.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
now you already gave the introduction, like a quick story how you end up with the LS.
Yep.
Let's talk about the LS swap.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting topic to talk about. I want to say that the LS engine or the LS swap, I want to say, is at least in the top five swaps in the entire world.
Yeah.
It's like a worldwide conversation,
Yeah.
if you want to put it that
Yeah,
way.
for sure.
So this chassis in particular, the 300CX, what it takes to LS swap this chassis in particular, is a headache, or it just fit
So
right there?
Well, so it actually kind of fits better than the VG does, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you have, so I also learned to weld on that car. So I built, when I had the VG, it was on a single turbo setup, and I built the whole setup and stuff like that. When you single turbo them, you really clean up the engine bay. Like, you wouldn't even really recognize it compared to a factory like looking VG. They look pretty cool. But once you do that, it really cleans up the engine bay. It makes it look almost like an LS actually when it's in there. But the LS in general fits, you know, the big issue with doing the single turbo on the VG was clearing the hood with the intake manifold, because it has to sit on top. And the way the timing belt is makes you have to sit the intake kind of high to clear a timing belt idler. The LS doesn't really have that problem. They have intake manifolds now for the VGs that clear, so it's not really an issue anymore. But back when I was messing with them, that was another part too, is trying to keep it without cutting a hole in the hood, which I didn't really want to do. I wanted to keep it relatively stock body, you know, on the outside. But as far as putting the LS in, I bought LOJ is the company that made the motor mounts. So I bought motor mounts, trans mount, and his oil pan, and put it on, and then I custom fab the turbo setup myself for it.
So pretty much bolt on.
Yeah, as far as bolting the motor itself, yeah, it's a plug and play kit. Yeah, you don't have to do any cutting with the Turbo 400 and the firewall. You do have to hammer like the trans tunnel a little bit, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
Nothing at all. No real cutting, so it fits in there real nice.
Let's talk about your setup.
Yeah.
So you already mentioned what kind of engine you have, but that is not that engine like that anymore. Like you already did a bunch of things to it, but I want to know the engine. I want to know like your setup, your engine setup, your turbo setup. What are you running for injectors? Like what kind of ECU you're running? I also want to know what kind of transmission. That's very important. What type of transmission are you running with that setup?
Yeah.
If you have the original 300CX transmission, what are they called? Those transmission?
The 5-speed one, or
the 5-speed.
Yeah, it's just a Z32 5-speed. I don't know the technical name for it.
Anyways,
it's the same one that comes in the R32, I think, too.
Because you know they call it sometimes, like for example, like everybody knows the CD09 from the 350, the W58 from the Supras and yada yada.
These are just known as the Z32 5-speed.
C32 transmission. Okay, whatever. All right. So, but let's talk about your transmission, engine setup, injectors, ECU, turbo size, brand. Let's talk about all that.
So the setup it was on when it went the fastest pass it's gone. It's gone at 865 at like I think it was at 157 that it did that. On that setup, it was stock bottom end. It had LS7 head gaskets, had a BTR cam in it, head studs, pretty standard stuff. The turbo it was on at the time was a 8396 Borg Warner S400 billet wheel turbo. And then,
that's a big one.
It is a big one, yeah. And then it was on 210cc injectors, and then AM Infinity for tuning, and Turbo 400 for the transmission.
Hold on, say that again. The ECU you're having?
AM Infinity.
Never heard of it.
Really?
Never heard of it. Infinity? No, I may be too young.
Well, so the Infinity
or it's a new thing.
Well, AEM got bought by Holley, so they kind of got Infinity, but that ECU was out in like 2017, I think, was when it was pretty popular.
Oh, so it's very new then.
It's relatively new, but it's discontinued really though, because AEM's no longer like offering it, so it kind of sucks.
So that's what we know now for Holley Sniper, whatever it's called, Holley ECUs, whatever.
The Terminator.
There you go.
Eliminator, or whatever there, yeah.
So that's what we know now as Holley Terminator.
No. They're totally different
things.
Okay.
No.
AEM, the company just got bought, but the Infinity ECU, it was an import ECU though. It was used for a lot of super guys run them.
Really?
A lot of Coyotes actually run them too. That's what was popular.
But that discontinue.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you have something discontinue.
Yeah.
So you don't have any customer care. You don't have any of that.
No,
Like if you
me.
screw up,
Just
that's
me
on you.
and the AM forums on Facebook, and that's it. AM pages on
Oh,
Facebook.
and that,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a standalone
It is
ECU,
standalone,
right?
yeah, full standalone.
Does that came? That's only the ECU, or that comes with the screen, or you put a screen separate?
So yeah, it's also AM screen. CD5 is what it's called.
Discontinue.
It is discontinued, yeah, but that's what I have in there now. At some point, I'd like to update it, but for now, it's doing everything I needed to do, and I'm relatively familiar with it now.
Well,
So I,
if you want to find the light at the end of the tunnel, you should go with a fuel tech.
yeah, I'm looking at Fuel Tech. I'm looking at Haul Tech.
Fuel Tech.
Those are kind of what I'd
Cheaper.
consider between. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Haul Tech has the Rebel LS. That's a plug and play for like a LS.
True.
But I mean, I wired the whole car, so I don't mind wiring stuff or anything
And-
like that. But
And customer support is great with
Yeah.
both. With both, I can say that I've been interviewing a lot of people. I've been interviewing a lot of people, tuners especially, and they don't have anything bad to say about either Hull Tech or
Yeah.
Fuel Tech. So you
and
should be fine.
both companies seem like they are like making updates or having new parts for them. That's the tough thing with the AEM is there's nothing new coming out. It is
Yeah,
what it is.
AEM.
That's all you got.
And by the way, I heard from
So-
tuners that AM is so hard to tune
It's
because it has so many maps.
yeah,
Not maps.
it's not- nah, it's just
parameters.
yeah, just the layout's not super intuitive. It's usable, but you got to learn it. You
Yeah.
gotta learn it, and you have to deal with the AEM ecosystem or
I
the
think-
Infinity ecosystem.
I think if you make a tuner to choose between
they're not picking Infinity.
Exactly,
Any tuner I've
exactly.
met has always been like, oh,
exactly, and you're right about that one because I remember used to work in a speed shop at some point of my life. Yeah. If you guys don't know, yeah, I used to work in a speed shop, and there's this guy that he wanted to save some money, and he had a Honda S2000, and he saw in the actual website that they were getting discontinued. So guess what? As soon as you see something that is getting discontinued, you're gonna think that whoever has it is gonna sell it for cheap.
yeah,
Guess what? We had it for cheap.
Yeah.
And he came by, he purchased the ECU, he used it and all that, but I was like, damn, this guy is getting into something that is getting discontinued. Is he even thinking about customer support if something goes wrong?
yeah.
Like if you need to replace the ECU or for whatever reason you make a bad connection and you burn the ECU and your car is already tuned for that ECU. It's not like you can swap put another ECU with the same map and
Yeah,
whatever and you're
you gotta
fried.
switch to something else, or find another used one or something, I guess. But you can, I mean, these you can get cheap. They work well. They're VE tables, so like it's pretty nice to tune them as far as like the maps go. But it's also the only thing I've ever messed with aside from the AM V1.
Now
that's real old.
now
That's no good.
The Borg Warner turbo. You still having that one?
So no, I swapped off that turbo. It was a clone, like a Borg Warner clone.
Oh, like
but I swapped off from that. Now I'm on a Pulsar 8896.
Nice.
Yep.
Chinese but good.
Yep. I mean, that's when you saw the car. That was the second pass that I've done on the car with this new setup.
You came from Chinese Chin Jun Jin Wong Wang to Chinese good.
Yep.
Decent.
And the turbo before that I had on the VG was a HX52, which is like a diesel truck turbo.
Oh,
that was the one.
jeez.
That was the one I was messing on back with the VG. But they didn't have the turbos that they had like now. Now you can go get real nice turbos for pretty cheap, and they're good. They make power.
Hey,
They make some freaking power now.
nothing wrong with it.
No.
For Warner
Yeah.
is originally for
The trucks and stuff.
diesel.
yeah.
Right? So
That's what you did. You used what you could find. Yeah.
now are you running the same current injectors that you had before?
Same injectors, same fuel system. Motor's built now because I actually ended up blowing up the stock motor. Not anything with the motor. I ran it out of fuel and at the worst possible time, and it just exploded a piston and had a hole in the side of the block.
Holy
That happened at the very end of the year last year. So that was a stock model, but that motor had been in there since 2018.
Really?
And I think it has, I don't know, 100 plus 8-second passes on it, high 8-second passes, stock bottom end.
Let me ask you this. I don't know if this is a myth or if something that actually happens, but I heard some rumors, a bunch of rumors about these engines, these LS engines, but they're not technically LS. They're like, what is it? LQ, whatever they call it, whatever L,
Yeah,
whatever.
The iron blocks.
The iron
truck
blocks.
Motors,
That's
yeah.
what you have, right?
No, I'm on an aluminum block.
Okay. So anyways, I heard the same thing about the aluminum blocks. They tend to the heads they tend to lift a lot.
That is the weak point on them.
So talk to me about that.
So I've only had one issue with the head gasket, and it was due to an injector going bad. Put a new head gasket on, it was fine. But yeah, the heads, if you're stock heads, that is where their weak point kind of seems to be, where they just lift the heads if you run too much timing or detonate at all, really. And it's because I think the heads are so small. They're not, there's no timing sets in them. There's no timing gears or anything. It's all the cams in the center of the block. So
Exactly.
with these heads, they're not very thick. And so they end up actually flexing between the head stud bolt spacing.
But there's a fix for that, right?
Aftermarket
Or isn't
heads.
it? Okay.
Aftermarket heads, or I mean, obviously you put head gas or head studs on them, and that helps.
That helps, but it doesn't fix it because I heard
It doesn't
also
fix
that
it
too.
completely. You definitely are still limited by the heads, but when you go to aftermarket heads, they're thicker casting decks, so that helps. And then you can also go with aftermarket blocks, and that adds an extra head stud bolt on
Nice,
each, or two
interesting.
extra ones on each of the cylinder, and that's how you get 1600 plus out of them. You start
Nice.
going 6 bolt.
Nice,
So,
nice. Oh man, like LS, man, shit. Before the K series was a thing, or was very popular, I remember that everything was LS.
Yeah.
Everything. I even saw a front wheel drive LS car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
And by the way,
they fit easy and stuff.
by the way, the Grand Prix,
Mhm.
that's LS front wheel drive, isn't it?
I think so. I'm honestly not too familiar with domestic stuff. My only taste with domestic motors is this LS. Really.
Yeah, you are non-binary. All right. Yeah, non-binary, half import, half domestic.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, you're a smart guy. You know what you did?
What's that?
You're trying to play for both teams. That's very smart from you. Yeah. Everybody's gonna love you. So everybody's gonna love you. Like you had like the Republicans and the what is the other one on the Democrats? They're gonna love you. Both of them. They're gonna love you the same way. Hey, let's talk about what makes the LS swap so special.
It's cheap. It can be. It's not. It's actually not that cheap, but it can be cheap. You can get the motors pretty cheap. Again, the stock bottom ends can handle 1,000 horsepower. If you tune them right, they can hold it if you get the right motors. And that motor's compact. I dropped probably 150 pounds putting that motor in my car too, because the VG is an iron block, and I went to an aluminum block. So I dropped just weight from that alone. Like the front of my car was just sitting up just from the swap. So I mean, there's not too many downsides of them. They do have their issues with the heads and stuff like that, but that's really once you get past that 1,000
fixable.
horsepower. It's fixable, and it's not for a while. Like you're pushing them pretty hard
Right.
at that point. I think most motors will have some type of issue getting to that point in factory, trim kind of. The motor right now is still on stock heads. So we'll see kind of what it does on this setup. At some point I'll put heads on it, but the heads are more expensive than the motor.
Yeah, I know.
The heads are pricey.
Yeah, I know. Because
So-
what you can get those engines for in the junkyard?
$900.
$900?
I mean, if you actually find the Gen 4 aluminums, I mean, a junkyard price is what, $300 or whatever for a motor, but they are a little bit harder to find. If you find like a pulled one already, they're
But it's
900 to
possible.
1,000.
It's possible.
It's definitely possible.
Even
If you go look, you'll find one.
even if you have to drive like,
they're in so many things.
Yeah,
That's what makes them special too. They're the availability. They're everywhere.
especially here in Florida, you got so many junkyards, man. Like
Yep.
you have to find at least one.
Yep.
At least.
Oh, if you're going iron block, you can get them for free. If you don't-
Really?
oh, yeah. If you don't mind, I'm talking to go for I like the aluminum block ones because I want the weight savings. But if you're willing to go with the iron block, which they're strong, if you go iron block, people give them away.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. They
people
take
give
it.
them
They
away.
take it out
They're,
from
they're in every single truck.
what is it, the
1500 truck has
like a
one.
Tahoe,
Yep. Tahoes, the Silverados, everything has them.
Sierra. I think
Sierras,
that's that
yeah.
one too. That's the famous Vortec
Yep.
engine.
5.3 Vortec, yeah, and that's what mine is, a 5.3, so it's not a big displacement.
Yeah. You're not the 6.0. That's what it is,
No.
right?
Yeah, 6.0 is going to the bigger one, yeah. But yeah, man, I think just the availability of the motors is what makes them, availability and them being cheap. Like they used to be expensive. Back in 2005, 6, the LS swap, you had to have money to do it. But then I think once these fleet vehicles hit the junkyards, it was just a waterfall of engines.
Yeah, I remember the LS1, at least the LS1,
Yeah.
which was before people find out that the LQ, L33, L whatever was a thing, was something like that. It was even possible of making decent power or good power. Before we used to have the LS1,
Yep.
and it was very affordable.
Oh, yeah.
You was able to find it
Yeah,
for a decent price.
Yeah.
Now, shit. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Yep.
They want to ask for the same money you can pay for a 2J engine GTE. That's how much they're gonna charge you for a LS3, LS2.
Yeah, I mean, those motors are nice. The LS3s are nice motors.
Yeah, we're
but,
gonna talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
It depends what you're doing with them, though. If you're going turbo, the 5.3s are tough to beat, man. They make some power.
And for the price,
For the price, that's what I'm saying. Even with not the 5.3s hold more power than the LS3s.
they do.
Oh yeah, they have thicker sleeves in them. It's all the same sleeve. They just bore them out more for the bigger displacement motors.
Interesting.
So on the bigger motor you go, the thinner the sleeve's gonna be.
Interesting.
So if you're really pushing, now you got to be pushing the motor to the point where the sleeves come into play, which is quite a bit of power. But at some point they do crack the sleeves too.
I have a curiosity. These these motors, do they like alcohol?
I run my car on ethanol, so similar. Alcohol itself, I mean,
Like M5 and things
I
like
assume
that?
they do. Yeah, I assume all the fast ones are running ethanol for sure.
Yeah. Those, like, that fuel, man, makes you cry.
Yeah, and you got to change the oil a lot.
I know,
Nice
right?
milky oil. You can't really do it in a street car, I don't think.
Yeah.
I've never messed with it. I'm trying to keep my car more street oriented,
Yeah.
where I can drive it around and stuff.
I know you still having your AC.
Kept the AC.
Hey, I share your same taste. Anytime I build a car, it's gonna be a street car and also a fun car for the track.
Yep.
Running nines, low nines. I don't want anything lower than that. I know. You people are gonna say, "Oh yeah, you're saying that right now," but then once you start running, you're gonna ask for more and more
It
and
is
more.
true.
But here's a but. I'm a person that if I say I want this, I stick to it. I really stick to it. I embrace it. Why? Because I'm not trying to break the record.
Yeah.
I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I do this because I like this.
Yeah.
Some people want to break the records, but there's a controversy that I talked to, like, so I had a guest on one of my podcasts. Shout out to Pimar Racing. He has a Promodify, and he's actually the second world fastest Honda in the world.
Oh wow.
He's running 580 something, no, 590 something, 580 something, somewhere around there. And he mentioned a quote that I put that in one of my posts on Facebook, and he says, "Some people wants to break records. I want to win competitions
Yeah.
or championships or whatever." And that's true. Some people just go to the track just to break records.
Yeah.
But guess what? At the end of the day, when you really need to win, you lose.
Yeah.
Because you're so focused into break records that your own instinct betrays you.
Yeah.
You jump. You either do a really hard lunge, you end up breaking the car, axle, transmission. I don't want to say the engine, because if you're at that point,
Yeah. It's built.
it's already built.
Yeah.
It's hard to break it. But transmission tend to go, axles, like I said, whatever, you name it. But that's the thing. It's just like when you're a person that you want to be very competitive on that industry. That's me. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if you're the same way, but me personally, if I build something, I don't want to be the best. I just want to have fun.
Yeah. My goal with the car now, like, I'd like to get, I brought it to FL2K for like the street car class.
Nice.
And I think the time to slot into some of these good street car events is about at 850. I think if you can run around at 850, you can have a lot of fun in these classes.
Of course.
So that's kind of my goal. I'm trying to get the car to run pretty much low eights, and that will let me compete, in the 850 classes. This is what I kind of want to do with the car.
And now these days, that's not that hard to get.
No, it's not.
Like right now, freaking stock BMW G82 or G80 runs those
BMWs are
numbers
something else, man.
all day, every day.
BMWs are
Like I
something
seen
else.
so many of them bolt-ons running nines.
Yeah.
Supras, B58.
They're expensive to get past that point though. But that motor's going to be a good one though, the B58s and the S58s.
Yeah, and I
It's
see
the transmission though. It's that 8 HP, and they're all-wheel drive. If they weren't all-wheel drive, it'd be a lot different, I think. If those cars didn't
You
come
think
all-wheel
so?
drive.
but they've been all-wheel drive since forever.
With the 8 HP though?
Not without
They have the
transmission.
dual clutch though. The dual clutch can't really launch.
Right.
But with the 8 HPs though, they're once they get a trans brake and stuff on those cars, and they can actually stage. That's their problem now. I don't think they can stage like they. I've seen the some of the super guys have bump boxes.
Yeah.
But if they can't bump, it's hard for them to spool and be able to run on like a pro tree.
Mhm.
You know, so that's going to be their. It's the same issue the GTR has.
But also
They can only race each other kind of right now. You know.
the S55, not the B58, the S55 is a whole different platform.
Yeah.
But that platform's still on diapers. And that platform is coming big.
Yeah. Rear wheel drive.
No, it's all-wheel drive
It's
still.
all-wheel drive?
Yeah, it's always all-wheel drive still. But it's coming big.
Yeah.
It's coming big because the G82 or G80, either one. So let me give you a little story. I have a friend. Shout out to you, Abby. It's a she, actually. I don't know if you saw her in the TRC event.
I've seen her actually at the track, the M4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen her at the track. I see her at the track all the time.
She is running really good numbers and very consistent.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a stock turbo car too.
Yeah.
Or is it hybrids or stock turbos?
no,
turbos?
stock. Just a tune. I think it's a boost mod, whatever
Yeah,
it's called.
boot mode.
Boot mod.
Yeah.
She actually hold the record for the fastest boot mod, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how it's called. Just really nice tires, V-locks and intakes, downpipe, just simple buttons, dude. And she's running 9.5s, 9.4s, 9.5s, 9.4,
too.
consistent. Really nice launch.
Is it stock transmission?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing special to do.
That trans in there is just awesome.
Bro, the technology on these new
Those 8
BMWs.
speeds. I'd consider swapping my car with the 8 HP. Going to 8 speed from the Turbo 400. If they can iron them out and get them bumping and trans brake wise really well, I would consider putting an 8 speed in it. I think you're going to see a pretty big. That's going to be a popular trans swap for sure.
Yeah. Also, the 10 speed from the Mustang, that transmission is really good too.
Yeah.
People are swapping that transmission a lot now these days.
It's the availability too, because those 8 speeds come in all the Dodge Rams, the 1500s. Like anything like 16 and up has an 8 speed in there, that 8 HP. So you can get them for pretty cheap. It's going to be the Ellis of transmissions.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
Let's see.
Positive.
He said already.
For swap cars for sure. Like if you're building a 240 or a Supra or a
I've seen it.
IS300 or something, those HPs look really fun.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
They don't launch that good because they use it for real wheel drive setup instead of all wheel drive. They don't launch that great, but it's like everything.
Once you put a tire on them though, if they can start getting the bump box and the trans brake stuff working, I mean, it's going to be a pretty. It's going to bridge the gap pretty well.
I seen it with tires, and so there is a. I think it has to do also with the place that they were running.
Yeah.
Because there is a YouTube channel. I can remember the name. It's from UK. So basically, they do like, I don't know if you have seen it before, but they have like multiple generations, and they make them race against each other and to find out which generation is the best. And they race like in an airport. So basically, there was this Supra with the 8-speed transmission, and the 2J. And bro, he was spinning all the way.
Well, the other issue too with them is like a lot of them run the diesel converters. Or like a stock torque converter, and I don't even know because those trans lock up so much. I don't even know what you do converter tuning wise for them. So they have some stuff to figure out with them. Right. But I'm pretty convinced that trans is going to be like a swap trans of the future.
Let's see.
Because it's, I mean, we'll see.
Let's see.
It's either that or manual trans.
True.
TR6060 or something.
True.
Yeah.
Let's see. So again, let's go back to your car.
Yeah.
What kind of transmission are you running right now?
Turbo 400.
Nice. Yeah. That's the right way.
Reverse manual Turbo 400.
That's the right way.
Yep.
You
can't beat it.
Do you have the thing where you lock it on neutral and then you jump it right there?
You have to.
Nice.
That's the best part of it.
Nice. Nice. You know, I knew about that transmission because of my boy. Shout out to him on Ulysses from Top Secret Pro Tuning. He had that transmission on his Toyota Supra. He was running low 8s all day, every day.
Yep. Solid trans. It's a very good trans.
He beat the crap of it. And the funny part about those transmissions is that you can find them on these oh my god, what do you call them? The school buses?
Yeah. They come in all kinds of stuff. They have a lot of old stuff.
Man, that's crazy.
The only downside of them is they're only 3 gears. So the third gear is a 1-to-1. So if you're trying to highway cruise, you're just sitting high up in RPM. So that's the only downside of them. Otherwise, they're really good.
Unless you dump like if you dump the boost by gear and you put like 3 pounds of boost on third gear,
Put up there, yeah.
and you're running like 100 horsepower.
Yep.
No, I'm just messing with you. Okay, so since we talk about the LS, right? By the way, hey, it's me again. Yeah, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Again, for free. Okay. Since we talk about LSs, right? In your opinion, in your personal opinion, which LS you think is the best LS and why?
In my experience with them, I've only had one, and it's the 5.3. But
But of course you have friends with it.
I think, yeah, I still think the 5.3 is what you want. I mean, I don't know. The 5.3s.
Let me give you a better scenario
Yeah.
for the price and the outcome.
What are you trying to do?
Drag. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not going crazy, like build, with the aftermarket block or something like that, I think the LC9, which is the thick sleeve aluminum, it's Siamese bore cylinders, and that block, they make 1500 horsepower on those.
Aluminum?
Yeah, aluminum block. And it's light. It's aluminum. It's like a little aluminum factory race motor. You got to put piston rod cranking it and stuff, but
yeah, it's like everything.
Yeah, but once you do that though, I mean, they're pretty stout motors. Then you just have to put a nice set of heads on them. But yeah, I'd say that, that's pretty much what I'm trying to build with mine. I think that's a pretty decent way to go. It keeps the weight down. I'd like to take some more weight out of my car while still without cutting it up too much. But yeah, the 5.3 is I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, because that 300CX is a chunky car.
Yeah, it is.
That's why when I saw you the first time, I was so surprised because you don't see them that often.
No, you really don't.
Because it's a heavy car.
Yeah,
that's the reality. No one wants that car.
You can get them. I mean, mine's 3350 with me in it. So the car is probably 31 something, 31 and change or whatever.
And you know what's funny? Sorry for cutting you up, but the Supra weighs around the same.
MK4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, the car is so heavy, like the 300CX. Dude, you got Toyota Supras running 5s, and they are heavy too. They're heavy. So what they did to make it so light, well, the same thing you can do to the 300CX to make it light.
I think the thing with the Zs are you have another alternative, and that's going to be like a 240. The 240 is very similar chassis and everything.
Hold on, 240SX?
240SX.
Okay, I thought you was going to say the Z.
No, well, 240Z as well. But I'm talking more like a lot of things fit from the Z to the 240, the SX. And so you're starting off with a car that's 1,000 pounds lighter, maybe a little less, maybe 800 pounds lighter, just off the rip, So I think that there's a lot more drag 240s than drag 300s.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I think that's a big part. It's the same thing with the Hondas, why you don't see a lot of 4th gen Preludes or 5th gen Preludes. They're just heavy. Like, why would you pick that over an EG hatch or a CRX or something light? They just kind of the people that are really trying to race tend to navigate towards the lighter chassis. So the only guys you get with the Zs, you have to really like a 300ZX for some reason. So you either really liked one as a kid or something, or, in my scenario, I didn't really have a choice. I just, I'm not mad about the choice. I love the car, but, that was my starting point, and that's just what I learned on, so.
But the 240Z is very light.
240Z is very light.
And you can find it for really cheap.
Yeah, 240Zs are super light. And they have a lot of room for a 6-cylinder.
I'm very surprised why they don't use them like that to the run drag.
Yeah, I do think they're getting a little harder to find, and you have to find them without rust, or you're going to have to be one to cut it apart.
That's fine.
Because they're 70s cars.
Now these days, there is nothing you can find without rust. You're going to find rust anywhere.
Yeah, that's definitely true, especially as they get older. But yeah, I don't see 240Zs that often, even for sale really. And they're they can be cheap, but a really clean, well done 240Zs, they're kind of pricey. Again, you could look at an S13 or something instead.
You know which one I think, and it's right in the middle between the old one and the 300CX? Man, the same 300CX, but the C31.
Yeah.
I think that's a great platform. Well, let me take it back. It's an ugly car, but it's a great platform. Yeah, you're laughing because it's true.
The interiors that get me on
is so ass. That maroon interior.
It's for its time.
That maroon interior looks like a lady boy driving that car.
They went very 80s looking for sure.
Yeah.
But the Z31s, there's a lot more drag racing Z31s than Z32s.
Exactly.
For sure.
That's what I'm saying. I saw one in Puerto Rico. I told you that story already. But there is one in Puerto Rico. Cool people, OGs, people from back in the days. Like they still doing the carburetor mechanic and all that. So basically, they had a 454 block, I think what it is. Everything was recycled.
Yeah.
Everything was from the junkyard, pretty much like what you have,
Mm.
but even worse because he found that he found that engine like sitting in somebody's backyard. Oh, you don't need that?
Yeah.
Let me take it. Hey, brother, I got this block. Do you have a head for this? Yes. Okay, I'll pick it up. Hey, I'm looking for this carburetor. Do you have one? Yes. Okay, let me use it, bro. And he just recycled everything from the only thing that the car has in really great conditions. Besides those engines, those engines they don't break. But bro, the entire chassis, he he repaint everything. He redid everything. He restored pretty much everything.
That's pretty cool.
So it's a nice car,
Yeah.
and he's running low nines, bro. Like there's nothing that goes wrong with it. The car is ugly again,
Yeah.
but it's a great platform.
It
If
is.
you're a Nissan guy, if you're looking for a chassis, you're looking for a shell, I should say, and you want to swap something, that's a great
Yeah.
one. You can find that one for
Oh,
what?
they're super cheap.
$1,000
Yeah,
if
they're
that.
very cheap.
Yeah, bro. So in conclusion, which one is the best LS you can recommend people to get?
I would just look if you're going, 1,000 horsepower stuff. You're probably going to want a Gen 4, any Gen 4 iron block or aluminum block 5.3 will get you going pretty good and not hurt the bank really.
Okay, now let's talk about
Mhm.
combinations. In your personal opinion, what do you think is the best combination right now?
And like out of all the cars.
No, like for as far as the LS.
Oh, for the LS. I mean, again, kind of depends what you're going for, but I mean, it's if you're trying to go eights with the car, just any of the G50 series turbos seem to be pretty good, or the S400s. The S400s are a little bit older, but those on a 5.3 head studs, head gaskets, a turbo 400 get you pretty far if you put it in the right chassis and tune it well. You know. They're pretty simple combos to set up, and that's what when I was originally doing it, that's what drew me to them was just that they're simple
Simplicity.
motors to go. I know what they're gonna do, and it let me focus on other parts of the car. I got when I was first messing with the car, the paint was pretty bad on it. I plastic it at one point.
Oh,
then-
yeah?
so it was green. It was like army green for a while. And this since the car was actually running reliably, it allowed me to paint the car and do the interior and get it kind of where I want it to be. Instead of having to chase motor problems a lot.
Right.
So. Yeah, so as far as the LS setups, I mean, they're pretty straightforward, really. There's not too much variation. You can change motor size. You can do a big single or, smaller twins and stuff. But that really depends on packaging of what car you're putting it in.
And a fun fact about these motors is, bro, if anything breaks, you go to the auto parts and you find it.
Yep.
You have a bad alternator, go over there.
Yep.
Bad oil pump, go over there.
Yep.
Whatever, you go to the auto parts and you'll find it.
It's a lot different going because that was, again, that's my first experience with a domestic motor like that, and it was interesting going from the VG where you can find some stuff for it, but other stuff you're looking on forums or on Facebook pages to try to find stuff.
For sure.
But the LS you can literally go to Advance or something and get
Yeah,
pretty much
I know.
whatever you need.
Yeah. So let's talk about your rival, your domestic direct rival, Coyotes.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about how you feel about Coyotes now these days?
When I was looking at swapping the car, I did look at doing a Coyote. I was debating between the two, and it was just the packaging. It's such a big motor. It's a gigantic motor to try to fit in like the Z is a small car. To fit that in, I'm sure it can be done, but I just, the LS is so small. The power goals I was wanting is pretty good. The Coyotes, after, 1500, I think the Coyotes do take over a little bit, though. They're, they can make 1800 pretty easily once you do the right things to them. I don't think they're cheap, but they seem to hold the power a little better at the higher powers from what I can really tell. There's, when I go in those streetcar classes, it's relatively dominated by Mustangs, the Coyote Mustangs.
But NA or boosted?
Oh, boosted. Boosted. I'm not a big NA guy.
Yeah.
I want some turbo stuff.
Somebody told me once, NA building an NA setup is the most expensive way of going slow.
The only exception I'd make for the NA would be like a C6 Z06. If you get the L7, I mean, I'd keep that NA. That's a cool motor.
But still,
but aside from that car, anything else, V8 or any other thing, I'd be turboing it.
How do you feel about this new single cabin F-150?
They're awesome.
They're fucking
they're
crazy.
awesome, yeah. Yeah,
They're
I
crazy.
go out to Houston for TX2K like once a year, and so I see a lot of those.
Oh, they're
Houston
huge
trucks.
over there. Yeah,
Oh,
they're huge.
Yep. So and
Twin
I
turbo.
mean, those things are wild.
I'm gonna have somebody pretty soon. He lives on Tampa.
Yeah.
He has one twin turbo. Turbo.
It's the Mexico GTR
For real.
for the streets.
For real.
Yeah, they're something else, man. You know,
All-wheel drive. They all-wheel drive,
yeah.
right? Now 4x4 all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That's what they are. And actually, that person that I'm telling you from Tampa,
Well,
not.
no, they can switch, so they can go from rear wheel to all wheel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
4x4s,
Because I thought it was 4x4. It's not
Well, it is,
4x4.
I mean, I guess yeah. I don't.
It's all-wheel drive.
Yeah, whatever the difference.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's the traction of four wheels.
Yep.
Anyways, so besides that person that I told you from Tampa, there is also another guy. Shout out to you, Dave. He's located on Ocala. He has a supercharger one. I know a lot of people, they're not a big fan of it. They're like, okay, why are you going supercharger when you can be turbo and make way more power? Anyways, but that's a personal preference, especially if you want a street car like you.
Yeah, it might be some people that have never driven a supercharged car because they're very fun. They're very fun.
He goes to the crossing the border from Ocala to Mexico, and he goes every now and then to test it out. And he says that he's been smoking GTRs all day, every day with that truck.
I can see that.
And if you look at the truck, bro, the truck doesn't even have good tires for racing. He has like
they got the weight advantage. Like that weight helps them a little bit on the no prep stuff.
He has like those all-terrain kind of tires.
Like off season or whatever.
Yeah.
Unless he's on mud tires.
Yeah. So like with the little what do you call that? The little
knobs.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And he's been smoking GTRs like that. And I don't know how much he's pushing, but I can say
like 900 probably.
Yeah, he's probably pushing like a 900, 800. I was gonna say 800, 900. But how do you feel about them? You think like those are the new thing now for domestic? Like, do you think they're gonna take over?
Yeah, I mean, for street stuff, for sure. I think any 8th mile racing, I feel like they're gonna be tough to beat. I mean, you'd have to have something else all-wheel drive. Maybe the BMWs could give them. It'd have to be something all-wheel drive. The problem with the GTR, I think, is that they're the dual clutch trans. You know, that holds them back so much on the dig racing stuff. But the 8HPs and the BMWs, they're converters. The trucks are converters. So, and some of those trucks go turbo 400. You know, and now you got pretty much everything, and it's on the street with the all-wheel drive, and on the street with the no prep stuff. The weight doesn't hurt you as much.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of times it can help you.
Exactly.
But they are heavy though, so top end wise, you know, that's where they.
Yeah, they're gonna choke.
But those Coyotes can make so much power though that they can put it down. So that's a tough platform to beat if it's built correctly. That's a very tough platform to beat.
Have you seen Brett Lasala?
Oh yeah. Wild.
That's not.
Wild.
I had the opportunity of seeing that car in person performing.
Yeah.
That's something else.
That
bro.
thing is something else.
That's not rocket. And the thing is that every version of the Snot Rocket, which is what the name of the car is even more powerful than the one before.
Yeah.
Like right now, he's knocking the door for 5 seconds.
Yep.
Like when he built that new build, he's ready to run 5s.
Yeah.
Easy.
And that car's consistent.
Yeah.
Very consistent.
Yeah. That's the thing about Coyotes. I like Coyotes. Coyotes. How you say it? Coyotes. Coyotes.
Coyote.
Coyotes.
Yeah.
So the good thing about Coyotes, I'm gonna have a hard time saying that. Anyways, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. Mustang engines.
Yeah.
Well, now because there's some old Mustang.
Ones, yeah.
Coyotes. Got it right?
There you go.
So the thing about Coyotes engines is that they are so consistent. Also, the way. So I saw this video once that they comparing the way the graph is when you tune them is so identical to the K series motors. They said that basically the Coyote engine is 2 K series motors in one.
Yeah.
Because the way the airflow goes, the way the graphs are, they love that top end.
Yep.
They are variable, right? Variable on dual overhead
I
cam.
believe they are, yeah. Yep.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
that's the advantage they have is they can make that power with the smaller displacement than the LSs. So the also where the LSs kind of run into some problems sometimes is that since you need a little more displacement to make the power, you end up having to run big turbines, big exhaust sides just to make up for
Yeah.
the pushrod two valve inefficiencies. I think the LTs and stuff have gotten a little bit better, but one, the tuning's tougher on those. You know, the global bead didn't get unlocked for a long time. Like GM's not
Yeah.
as supportive now with these newer Chevy cars or stuff. So that's kind of hurting them. But I'd like to see what the newer LTs can do because the LT heads are really efficient. Not Coyote efficient, but they're better than LS heads for sure.
Hey, dude, you're going right on track because that was the next topic. Let's talk about, since we already kind of touch bases with the LS. There's more stuff that we can talk about, but
Yeah.
definitely we can leave it for a second part. Let's compare, and also have a question about this, but let's compare the LT engines against the LS. Now, my question is, do you think that these new LT engines, which are the following generation of LS, like the evolution of the LS technically, do you think that the LT is a upgrade or a downgrade comparing to the LS?
I think it depends on the motor in question because like a LT1, their stock bottom ends aren't very strong. The ones in the Camaro, like you have to build them. Or
That's
else
the reason why I'm asking.
they blow up. So in that sense, no. I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mess with the LT1.
I actually have one right there as a table.
What was the setup on that one?
I have no idea, brother. All I know is one of the rods and piston
Yeah,
walk out for the park. Like he took a walk to the park and say bye bye, see you later to all the haters.
I think the LT4 though, those they come like factory forged for the most part, and those motors, I mean, they can make 1100, 1200 on those. So I think those are going to be a lot more comparable, but you're not going to get the same economic benefits of the LS that you will on the LT. You can't get, I mean, you can find them, but not strong like the LSs you can find. And then also you can put LT heads on LSs. It's not super done, but they do it. And once if you get better heads for the LSs that can flow like the LTs, I don't really see much of an advantage going with the LT. That personally,
I know, right? Because
Yeah.
It's
especially not
more
for
expensive.
especially not for a swap car. If you're talking a car that comes with it, obviously I don't know if I'd pull one out and put an LS in it per se, but
and it's more expensive.
it is very expensive.
And not only that, let's say you can find an LS anymore, right?
Yeah.
Right in the junkyard, or your neighbor has one like junk in the backyard. You still can go to the dealership and get a brand new one.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's gonna be
You can buy aftermarket blocks too. Once you have an aftermarket block, that really keeps the platform alive. Like the Dart JZ, that's gonna keep those around for a long time now. Because even JZs are kind of getting harder and harder to find.
But there is there is a downfall about the Dart block.
What's that?
It comes blank.
Oh yeah, you got to machine it.
You got to do
it's not cheap,
everything else.
But it's not crazy. I mean, if you're building a motor to build that, you have to be expecting
Yeah, of course.
some kind of price, And if you compare that to building a Coyote, I think it's probably cheaper. I would assume to build
Yeah.
a Dart JZ. I think
Or billet.
or
That's
build
also
it,
that's
yeah.
another option too.
That's getting pretty expensive there. That's
Well, it's a couple $1,000s on top, but it's already pre-made for you.
already machined and everything.
It's like
that.
everything, bro. You're never gonna have something like, there you go. Oh, let me grab it and put it right there. No.
Well,
You
I didn't know with the billet motors that like a big advantage of them is just that they're repairable. So if you do you have a rod issue or something, and rod ejection of some kind, you can just weld them back together and kind of reuse the block
Because of the material.
As opposed to the cast, you can't. Cast is too porous to.
Yeah.
You can repair some things, but I don't think you can repair like a billet block.
Yeah, you can maybe repair like a bracket on part that just broke up and
But you can never you can't rebuild a whole section missing like you can on a billet. But,
So in conclusion, what are your thoughts about the LTs? You don't think they have a good future, or
I
what are
think
your
they do.
thoughts?
I think if they can get better tuning, I mean, they do have them unlocked now for a lot of them, so I think that's going to help a lot. The other issue is they all come supercharged, or the good ones come supercharged, and I think as you start going to more turbo stuff on them, I think they'll be solid motors for sure. I think the interesting motor would be the Hellcat motors. That's
Think
a motor.
so?
I think that I've heard those motors can hold 1400 stock. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They're just always supercharged though, so it's hard for them to make that. But once they go, now I'm starting to see some really fast turbo ones. I think they might.
I think the
It
problem
might
is
have a resurgence.
I think the problem is the shell.
It's heavy.
It's heavy as hell.
What about a Trackhawk though?
Still
Trackhawks,
heavy.
yeah, no, but it's comparable-ish to the F-150s. So if you can make
Yeah, but I think the F-150 smoke the Trackhawk all
now.
day, every day.
For now, yeah. But I think the Trackhawks are gonna like get pretty quick here, and those Durangos too. I've seen them run pretty fast for what they are.
I think oh, well, it's too late for that, but I think Dodge should came with, since Ram is not part of Dodge anymore. Ram is his own owner.
Yeah, it's its own thing.
I think Dodge should came with a single cabin pickup truck
Yeah, something small,
with a Hellcat
like the
engine.
SRT10, like the SRT with the Viper motor, but with a modern one. Yeah,
Because we have the TRX and all that.
yeah,
It's not the same. It's too heavy still. It's a big truck.
Yep.
No. You need a single cabin, small truck. I can't even think about a Dodge that came single cabin.
everything's big. Everything's
Yeah.
big. Everything's heavy.
What's going on with Dodge? They always
There's big heavy
create
cars.
big things.
I don't know. That's
Right?
why I've never really had much of an interest in them. But I think that motor could be decent. I think it's a good motor ultimately, but they're fighting so much weight.
Have you seen the Supra with the LS? I mean, not the LS, the
Hellcat
the
swap?
Hellcat swap.
Yeah.
You seen that?
That's wild. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And there's an MK5 with the LS swap too.
There is a
the silver
350Z with a Hellcat swap.
That's wild.
Well, not only one. There's multiple ones.
I mean, you can buy crate motors of them and put them in. If you start now, that would be interesting to see what they could do in something lighter.
you know what?
Swap one of those in a Chevy 4-wheel drive truck, an old one, and put a Hellcat motor in it, and then see what happens.
You know what I want to see? I don't think I have seen these type of swaps ever. You can correct me. You've been in the business, like the industry, more than me, but I haven't seen like a small shell with a Duramax swap.
the diesel stuff.
Those
Yeah,
diesel engines are wild.
Yeah. I was at the
Like 1,000 torque.
I was at the Cletus all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive, like no prep.
Yeah.
And the truck that won is a billet 12-valve Cummins in a F250, tube frame truck, but that thing's got to make 2,000 plus horsepower.
Easy.
Easy.
And without
the diesels are something else.
and without mentioning the torque.
Yeah.
Because they're crazy on
I mean,
torque.
you see them dyno and they have full fire suits. Just the dyno.
For real.
Explode.
For real.
They just explode.
You gotta put like two big mountains on top of the fucking bed, so that way it's not spinning.
Yeah. The diesel stuff's wild.
I know. Hey, so to finish this podcast, it's been amazing. I have a last thing to ask you, because definitely we need to keep up. We need to make multiple parts. Like at least we got to do another part 2, and we got to keep updating our subscribers and followers. So we just want to know, what are your future plans with the car? What are you looking for? Like, what are the expectations over time?
I just put a built motor in it, so now it's piston rod crank motor, and a little bit bigger of a turbo than I was on before. And so I'm hoping to go low 8s, maybe dip into the 7s. Actually, I don't know if you saw what happened the night where I met you, but I broke the rear end the last pass of the night. So I'm gonna fix it's a stock rear end in that car too. Also, the stock rear end in the twin turbo Z's 860s.
What kind of differential are you running?
It's a R230. It's a stock twin turbo diff. Stock twin turbo diff, stock twin turbo axles. So that's another thing in that chassis. They're strong.
Let me guess. You're going with a Ford differential?
Yeah. So I'm gonna replace the stubs, and then I'm gonna see, because those stubs have been in there since 2009. So it might have just been fatigue. I'm gonna replace the stubs and try again, and see how it goes. If it breaks another one, I'm building a 8.8 for it, and that's what I'll put in there after that.
So the goal is 7.
I'd like to hit a 7 with it. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think you'll do it.
It'd be cool. And it should do it. I think it's capable of doing it if everything goes well with it.
Just cut half chassis, and
yeah,
you'll be able to
I'd like to run a 7, and then I just, like you were saying before with the competition stuff, like I would just like to be competitive at some of these street car classes and slot in well and do some actual like racing with it, because that's what I ultimately want to do, is actually be able to race in like the street car classes, and with the actual street car, not nothing too crazy race car wise, where I can't drive it around and stuff. So that's pretty much what to be expected of the car, at least for me for right now.
Hey Nick, thank you for your time. It was a really great conversation. By the way, for people that think that I was like interviewing him or just question answer. No, this is just a conversation of two individuals that really like cars, really love this industry. One is a trader, one is loyal. No, I'm kidding. So, like I said, it was a pleasure to have you here and really great conversation.
For sure.
I really like all the knowledge that you spread here. A lot of things that I didn't know, you clarified that here. Um, let all my audience your social media so they can follow you. Also your business. Tell them about what you do and all that stuff so they can follow you and ask you for any questions.
So yeah, Instagram's Nick_PraxisFab. And then I have a YouTube channel. I don't post too much on it, but it's Twin Turbo Z161.
You gotta do it.
And then yeah, Praxis Fab I was doing fab stuff for a while. I do mostly hobby stuff wise. But if anyone needs any actual Lego mounts for mounting Lego sets, I make 3D printed mounts, and it's ultimatedisplaysolutions.com.
Okay, cool.
So that's for that if anyone, needs any Lego stuff.
What is your Instagram again so people can follow you?
Nick_PraxisFab.
There you go. All right, people. I highly suggest you guys to go to his Instagram, follow him, look at his car, show him some love on his page. Look at his car again. It's really crazy. His setup and it's different and well done. And you guys can follow me. You already know. You can follow me everywhere as a MOZE 350. MOZE 350, MOZE 350. MOZE TV, everywhere. So follow me. Just keep in mind, every Sunday, Thursday, there's always a new episode. Now I start a new thing, which is I'm trying to post or upload a video every single day. I don't know what time, excuse me. I'm going to be uploading every single day, but at least Sunday and Thursdays. Thursdays, I'm always live. Any time around 6 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. I can either start 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. And Sundays, always 12 noon. There's always a new episode. Thank you everybody for staying all the way till the end of this episode. And thank you for the support. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you comment down below thoughts. How did I did on like this whole conversation in English? You guys already know this is not my first language. My first language is Spanish, but obviously I'm bilingual and I try my best to keep a really good conversation.
Yeah, that went well. Very well.
Except with the Coyote thing. I keep saying Coyote.
They know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyways, kill me in the comments if you want. If you say like, oh, you have a strong accent, whatever, just kill me. I don't care. At the end of the day, YouTube is gonna prize me for every comment you say, whether it's bad or good. Just comment down below. Just make sure you comment. If you don't comment anything down below, we're gonna have a problem. That's when the real problem is gonna turn on. Anyways, thank you for staying all the way till the end. I see you in the next one. MOZE 350. Ciao.